Exposed, the incredible truth about her wedding night with a billionaire that changed everything. Emily Lawson had always believed in dreams. As a waitress at the Maplewood Diner, the hum of sizzling bacon and the familiar chatter wrapped around her like a warm blanket. The townsfolk were her lifeline, they knew her struggles and triumphs, shared her laughter and tears. But on this cool autumn night, her dreams were about to collide with a reality she never expected. The annual charity gala at the high school gymnasium sparkled with twinkling fairy lights, casting a dreamlike glow over the crowd. As Emily pushed through the laughter and energy, every glance rattled her nerves. She was out of her element, but the joy in her daughter's eyes pulled her in. When she met him. Jack Sullivan, tall, charming, with an easy smile that lit up the dim room like a lighthouse in a storm. He was the kind of man who made the whole world stop for a moment, and Emily found herself mesmerized. Yet rumors of his ruthless business dealings, whispered behind closed doors, wrapped around her like a shiver. Could a man with such a past offer her and her daughter the better life she had longed for? As sparks flew and laughter intertwined with cellophane-wrapped dreams, Jack talked about his passion for philanthropy, revealing a side to him that charmed her. He poured warmth into her heart, filling her hopes with the possibility of a brighter future. Days turned into weeks, and their connection blossomed until a wedding under the gaze of the townsfolk made it all official. It felt like a fairy tale at first until it wasn't. The satin sheets of their wedding night felt heavy with unspoken truths as Jack's admission shattered her bliss. His family history was intertwined with the economic hardships she had fought through her entire adult life. Greed and exploitation, he was descended from them, and with that knowledge, a cold wave of betrayal crashed into her. Emily could hardly breathe, her heart pounding against her ribs. Their love felt tainted under the weight of his lineage, and she felt the judgment of her neighbors encircle her, seeping into the cracks of her resolve. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Panic bubbled in her chest as she weighed her loyalty to the town and her love for Jack. Could she stand by him, knowing what his family had done, while she fought for justice for the community she loved? Emotions surged, disappointment tinged with heartbreak. She felt pulled in two directions, like a puppet attached to strings that twisted her heart. With each passing moment, the weight of expectations mounted. As she stood at this crossroads, the whispers grew louder. Emily resolved to fight, to figure out if she could love this man and still honor the people who had supported her through every struggle. Little did she know, the decisions she made from this point would change everything, not just for her, but for everyone in Maplewood. What kind of future awaited them both? The answer loomed, tantalizing yet terrifying, as the night deepened and her thoughts spiraled into uncertainty. Emily stood at the window, the scents of pine and earth wafting through the open screen, but she felt trapped in a fog of confusion. Jack's words echoed in her mind, each one dripping heavy with consequences. She gripped the edge of the windowsill, heart racing as she replayed their last moments together. The world outside continued on. The sound of laughter drifted from the backyard where townsfolk gathered for a post-wedding celebration. Her friends, her family were down there, celebrating this union that was supposed to be the beginning of everything good. But was it? Mom! A small voice broke through her thoughts. Lily, her daughter, stood in the doorway, her fingers twisting the hem of her dress. Can we go outside? Everyone's waiting for us. Emily turned, forcing a smile onto her face. I'll be right there, sweetie. But just then, the weight of what Jack had said suffocated the joy. How could she focus on laughter and games when her heart felt so divided? Lily wandered outside, leaving Emily to wrestle with her turmoil alone. If she let Jack into her life completely, what would that mean for Lily? Would the greed of his family rain down on their dreams? Every decree he had made about fighting for his community rang hollow against the truth of where he came from. Stepping back from the window, Emily shook her head as if trying to dislodge the darkness. She needed clarity. Right then, she decided to take a deep breath and confront Jack. They needed to talk, and it had to happen soon. As she walked away from the room, the sound of the crowd grew louder, a riptide of emotion that dragged her under. The jubilation of the party mixed with her trepidation. When she finally arrived at the backyard, she caught a glimpse of Jack. He was surrounded by familiar faces, hands gesturing animatedly as he recounted some amusing story. His laughter rang clear, innocent, yet Emily felt a distance growing between them, not just physical, but an emotional chasm that her heart couldn't ignore. "Jack!" she called, but even to her own ears, it sounded tentative. He turned, his bright eyes searching for hers as a hush fell over the group. Their friends watched, the air filled with uncertainty. "Hey, Em." He walked toward her, a small smile playing at the corners of his mouth. We need to talk. Now." Her heart thudded as the weight of her words settled in the air. His expression shifted. "Of course. Let us go inside." They stepped away from the crowd, heading back into the house. Each step felt heavier than the last, like they were trudging through a muddy field. The door closed behind them, muffling the laughter and chatter into the background. They stood in the kitchen, the silence between them stretching taut. "Emily, are you okay?" Jack asked, concern etching his brow. "No, I'm not okay." She took a breath. "How could you hide such a big part of who you are from me?" He looked taken aback, his frustration simmering just below the surface. "You think I wanted to? My past is complicated." "Complicated?" "Jack, it's more than that." Her voice broke as she struggled to find the right words. "I can't be with someone who has that history, who comes from..." She hesitated, then steeled her resolve. "Who comes from a family that has hurt so many people." In that moment, an unspoken truth passed between them. The air thickened with both hurt and hope. Emily swallowed, caught between the life she desired and the realities they faced. "I need you to understand," Jack started slowly, but suddenly, the kitchen door swung open, and Lily burst in. Her expression shifted from excitement to confusion as she saw the tension. "Mom? What's wrong?" Emily's heart sank. How could she explain this? The fairy tale of love was starting to unravel, and a face of innocence stood before her, unaware of the storm brewing beneath the surface. "Nothing, sweetie," she said too quickly, looking at Jack. But something told her that this conversation wasn't finished. As Jack ran a hand through his hair, she knew they were standing at a precipice, and what happened next would define their future. Would love be enough to bridge this chasm? Outside, the laughter continued, but within her, everything felt uncertain. The moment was closing in, and she wondered, could Jack's love transcend his family's legacy? Just as she was about to speak again, a loud crash from the room next door made them jump. Emily exchanged a worried glance with Jack, knowing that whatever awaited them beyond that door might change everything once again. Emily's heart raced as the crash echoed through the house. It was a jarring sound like a glass shattering on the floor, sending shards of brokenness into the air. She shared a worried glance with Jack, the unspoken fear dancing between them. What had just happened? Before either of them could move, Lily rushed out of the kitchen. "I wanna see," she exclaimed, darting toward the noise. "Lily, wait," Emily called, her voice slicing through the haze of anxiety. But Lily was already halfway down the hall, propelled by childish curiosity. Jack shifted nervously. "Let me check on her," he said, and he followed Lily as she left the room. Emily stood rooted to the spot, the silence in the kitchen swelled around her. She felt the weight of everything pressing down on her. Was this really the right time to confront Jack? She thought about the years she had spent building a life for herself and Lily, creating a sanctuary away from all the pain. She couldn't let the past threaten that now. She leaned against the countertop and closed her eyes, letting her breath steady. The party downstairs faded into a distant murmur, leaving her alone with her thoughts. The echo of Jack's laughter felt so far removed from her reality now. How had they come to this? She had been so sure, so convinced that their love could weather any storm. A moment later, Jack returned, his face pale and focused. "That was just a kid knocking over a stack of chairs," he said, standing a bit closer. A hint of relief washed over her, but it was overshadowed by the tension still lingering between them. "I can't just pretend everything is fine," she said, choosing her words carefully. "You can't drop a bombshell like that and expect me to be okay." Jack ran a hand through his hair again, the gesture betraying his own turmoil. I know. But I never meant to hurt you. You have to believe me. My family is complicated. I thought I could keep it separate, that it wouldn't matter." "Not matter?" "Jack, it changes everything. You're asking me to ignore a part of your life that is intertwined with pain and loss for so many. How can you even think that's fair?" His gaze dropped to the floor, shame etching deep lines into his features. "You're right. It wasn't fair. I thought that love could be enough. And what if it's not?" Emily's voice broke a little. She wanted to stop crying. She felt so tired. "What if this is too big for us to handle?" Just then, Lily bounded back into the kitchen, grinning widely. "See? It's all good. Can we go outside now?" The sweetness of her daughter's innocence tugged at Emily's heart. It was a stark contrast to the heaviness that lay between her and Jack. She looked down, forcing a smile for Lily's sake. "Sure, we can head out." Jack watched her, his eyes searching. Please. We shouldn't ignore this. We need to talk through it." "Not now. I can't. It's too much." Emily turned to Lily, fighting back tears. "Come on, sweetie. Let us go be with your friends." As they moved toward the back door, Jack reached out and grabbed her wrist gently. "Emily, please." His voice softened, but she couldn't look back. The image of his face, once so easy to read, now felt unclear, a blur of hope and hurt. She took a deep breath, steeling herself against the maelstrom of emotions swirling inside her. What they had was real, but could love truly survive the uncertainty of their pasts? As she stepped outside, the warm sunlight enveloped her, but even the brightness couldn't chase away the shadow creeping over her heart. In the distance, the laughter of their friends carried through the air. That joy felt like a chasm away from her own. With every giggle, the distance between her heart and her reality grew wider. Jack followed, staying close, but the connection between them felt strained, fragile. Whatever was about to unfold between them wouldn't be easy. Emily turned to gaze at him, their eyes locking for a brief moment before she looked away. She could feel the battle raging inside her, but for now, she wore a mask of composure, hiding the turmoil that threatened to break. Free. As laughter enveloped her, she couldn't help but wonder if they could bridge this growing divide. Just then, a sudden hush fell over the crowd, and Emily turned her head, her stomach dropping. A figure appeared at the edge of the party, someone familiar and yet painfully unexpected. "What now?" Lily tugged on Emily's hand, oblivious to the shift in atmosphere. "Mom, will you swing with me?" Emily's heart raced with uncertainty. Could she hold on to both the joy of that moment and the chaos unfolding around her? She looked between her daughter and the figure approaching, knowing this day would define everything. Emily's breath caught in her throat as she scanned the edge of the party. The figure drew closer, and with each step, emotions surged through her: fear, anger, disbelief. It was Sarah, her childhood friend. But Sarah was more than just a friend, she was Jack's past, and the reason so much was unresolved between them. Emily. Sarah's voice rang out, bright and cheerful, but it felt like daggers piercing through the festive atmosphere. I didn't know you'd be here. I thought you'd be busy with Lily. As Sarah approached, Emily's mind raced. The memories flooded in Sarah's laughter during their summer adventures, the secrets they had shared. And right beside those memories lay the darker one, Sarah's betrayal when she had left without a word, and how Jack had quietly suffered the fallout. Lily twisted in Emily's grip, pulling her toward the swings. Mom, can we go play? Emily hesitated, torn between the playful innocence of her daughter and the turmoil brewing just out of reach. She turned to Jack, who stood several feet behind, watching with a storm of emotion crossing his face. There was something unspoken in his gaze, something that told her he felt it too, the unease, the regret, the sheer weight of the past crashing against their present. Maybe just a minute, Emily said to Lily, eyes still locked on Sarah. The woman was now inches away, a radiant smile that felt painfully out of place. Wow, you look amazing, Sarah said, her eyes bright. Is that a new dress? It suits you. Thanks, Emily replied, her voice steady, yet she fought against the turmoil inside. She forced a smile, and as she did, she noticed Jack step forward, inching closer, the distance feeling electric and heavy. Sarah, Jack said, his tone calm but pointed. What are you doing here? The question hung in the air, dense and filled with unspoken history. Sarah's demeanor shifted slightly. I came to see you guys. I heard there was a party, and I thought, well, I miss you both. Jack's jaw tightened. Emily could sense the tension rising, stretching thin like a fraying rope. She shot him a glance, reading the storm brewing in his eyes. He wanted to confront this, wanted to talk about everything, all the unhealed wounds, but was now not the time? With Lily so close? Mom, the swings. Lily whined, clearly growing more impatient with every passing second. Emily felt her heart sink, knowing that no matter what happened, they were walking on shaky ground. The air was thick with emotions not yet addressed, and she wasn't sure how to move forward. Would introducing Sarah into the mix only deepen the divide? Let us go play, okay? Emily finally said to Lily, trying to shift the focus away from the adults. We can talk later. There was a sense of conflict in her decision. By ducking and dodging the confrontation with Jack and Sarah, was she risking more? She was caught between the pure joy of her daughter and the uncharted waters that lay ahead with Jack. As they walked towards the swings, she felt Jack's gaze on her, filled with questions that were now more pressing than ever. She caught a quick glimpse of Sarah's face, and it was a mix of regret and hope. This wasn't just a reunion, it was a reckoning. The playful laughter of other children rang out, and Emily felt a wave of despair wash over her. Could she really maintain this balance? With every swing of Lily's laughter, the reality of their chaotic emotions felt closer to breaking. Just as she pushed Lily on the swing, turning her back on Sarah and Jack, she heard Sarah call out behind her, Emily. We really need to talk. The energy in Emily's chest flared, and she knew there was no escaping it. How could she navigate the delicate web of love and pain binding them all together? Lily, stay here, she said softly, but no sooner had she stepped away than she turned, ready to face whatever lay ahead, knowing that every step forward brought both risk and the chance for healing. What would Sarah reveal when they finally faced each other? Emily took a deep breath as she turned to face Sarah. The world around her, filled with the joyful noise of children and chattering adults, began to fade. It felt like every heartbeat was echoing with the tension of the moment, ready to fracture into something unrecognizable. Emily, please, it's important, Sarah insisted, her voice more urgent now, tinged with a seriousness that made Emily's stomach tighten. She studied Sarah's expression, searching for the genuine friend she'd once known. But instead, she found someone wrapped in layers of past mistakes and unspoken fears. Important? Emily echoed, her voice quieter, almost lost in the surrounding laughter. Lily's squeals suddenly felt far away, just blips in a world that was spiraling out of control. You disappeared for years, Sarah. Did you even think about what that would do to us? A flicker of pain crossed Sarah's face. I know. I messed up. But please, let me explain. Jack was still a few steps behind, his arms crossed, the tension in his shoulders a visible manifestation of their collective history. Emily felt his presence like a weight heavy, yet grounding. She glanced at him, uncertain if she wanted him to intervene or if she wanted to face this alone. Now's not the time, Jack finally said, his voice steady, though it cracked slightly at the edges. Emily's heart raced. His worry for their daughter was palpable, but so was his desire to confront their shared history. But before Sarah could respond, Lily ran up, her face flushed with excitement. Look, Mom. I can swing so high. She beamed, absolutely unaware of the emotional storm brewing around her. Emily felt a rush of love for her daughter that was like a lifeline, pulling her back to the surface. Okay, honey, just be safe. Emily called out, forcing a smile as she tried to compartmentalize her feelings. Turning back to Sarah, she softened. Look, I'm not ready. Not now, not here. I understand, Sarah said, her eyes glistening. But I need you to know that I didn't come here to make things worse. I came to tell you the truth about everything. What truth? Emily shot back, irritation mingling with the curiosity gnawing at her insides. Because all I've had is silence for years. Jack stepped closer, as if to shield Emily, his protective instincts kicking in. You should leave, Sarah. You're disrupting our family. But Emily could sense it then, the urgency in Sarah's presence. This wasn't just a visit. Something deeper loomed beneath the surface. Just, give me a chance, Sarah pleaded, desperation rising in her voice. There's so much we still don't understand. I regret how I left, but there's a reason for everything. Emily began to feel the walls she had built to protect herself starting to crack. There was anger, yes, but also hope flickering like a distant light. Emily, please, Sarah said again, her voice barely above a whisper. What if I told you what you thought you knew about me and Jack might not be the whole story? Jack's bewildered expression mirrored Emily's confusion. The quiet echoes of laughter faded in the background as Sarah's words hung thick in the air, promising secrets that could unravel everything they had built. Suddenly, Emily felt vulnerable, exposed like never before. What could she trust? And how would this shake the precarious balance she had fought so hard to maintain? Tell me, Emily finally said, her heart pounding, knowing she was about to confront a truth that might change everything. What is it? But just as Sarah opened her mouth to speak, an unexpected sound broke through the tension, a loud crash from the nearby table as cupcakes went tumbling, icing splattering everywhere. Mom! Look! Lily shouted, breaking into giggles. The moment hanging on the precipice of chaos and revelation. What was Sarah about to reveal that could change the very fabric of their lives? Emily's heart raced, a mix of love for her daughter and a deep dread about what Sarah might say next. The giggles and sticky chaos of the cupcake incident felt simultaneously comforting and surreal against the backdrop of impending revelations. She turned back to Sarah, her breath caught in her throat, almost desperate for any kind of clarity in this storm. Are you okay? Jack asked Lily, who was now covered in a rainbow of frosting, giggling uncontrollably. He swept her up into his arms, his eyes flickering between Emily and Sarah, both women equally captivating in their own ways yet worlds apart. Just a little cupcake trouble. Lily exclaimed, mischief dancing in her big brown eyes, oblivious to the weight of the moment. As Jack rushed to clean her face, Emily felt a knot tighten in her stomach. Could the secret Sarah harbored threaten this fragile joy they had carved out together? Sarah began again, her voice low and almost hesitant, but then faltered. The space between them crackled with uncertainty. Emily could see the anguish reflected in Sarah's eyes, a plea for understanding, a desperate hope for redemption. I need to know," Emily said, her voice trembling slightly with urgency. "What happened? Why did you leave? Why now?" With a hollow expression, Sarah finally stepped closer, her gaze flicking to the laughter around them. "I didn't leave just to escape. I thought it was for the best. But I see now maybe it wasn't." Her voice trailed off, lost in the memories she seemed to be reliving. Lily, now fully engaged with the remnants of her cupcake, kicked at the grass, laughing as she smeared frosting onto her cheek. It made Emily smile, but the laughter felt like a fragile veil over an impending disaster. "Sarah," Emily pressed, her voice urgent, "my family, my happiness, it's all too important to risk. So please, just tell me what you came to say." "I came because," Sarah hesitated again, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Because I found something out about Jack. Something that could change everything." The words hung heavily in the air, wrapping themselves around Emily's heart like a vice. Jack, who had been watching the two women, turned toward Sarah, a storm brewing in his gaze. "What are you talking about?" he asked, his tone sharper than intended. "Just," Sarah breathed deeply, gathering her thoughts, "just sit down. We need to discuss this without distractions." She nodded towards the picnic table, a place that once symbolized laughter and friendship, now turned into a stage for deeper truths. Emily felt the shift in the atmosphere, her pulse pounding in her ears. She looked at Jack, searching for reassurance but finding focus instead. They were in this together, weren't they? But now something essential was at stake. "All right," she decided, taking a step towards the table. "Let us talk." As they settled on the bench, Emily turned to Sarah, her heart pounding like drums in a parade. "Tell me. I need to know." With a deep breath, Sarah locked eyes with Emily and began, "It's about your wedding night and a secret that suddenly," a loud shout erupted from the other side of the playground, drawing their attention momentarily. Distracted, they looked toward the commotion, children scrambling, adults rushing in confusion. "That wasn't just a cupcake mishap," Jack muttered, glancing at where Lily was tumbling into the grass, her laughter fading into a frightened whimper. Emily's heart raced again, but this time in fear and concern. What happened to her? With Sarah's revelation still hanging in the air like a thick fog, what awaited them in the chaos could be just as life-changing. In that moment, with both the truth and their child's safety at stake, Emily found herself caught between the unraveling of her past and the immediate urgency of the present. What secret had Sarah uncovered that linked to that fateful night, and how would it impact the lives they had painstakingly built? Emily's gaze darted back towards Lily, who had tumbled onto the grass, her frosted hands trembling as she tried to push herself back up. The laughter of the other children faded, replaced by a nervous tension that hung in the air. Jack was already on his feet, racing toward Lily, his eyes filled with concern. Hey, it's okay," he called out, his voice steady as he knelt beside their daughter. Emily's heart sank with dread. All rudimentary worries about Sarah's revelation evaporated in that moment. As Jack comforted Lily, Emily's own fear gnawed at her. She wanted to run to her daughter, but part of her was magnetized to Sarah, curiosity mingling with anxiety. She glanced back, but Sarah remained still, her expression a mixture of haunted past and uncertain future. The chaos around them seemed to blur as Emily's mind raced with questions. What revelation could be so terrible that it linked to her wedding night? Would it shatter the fragile happiness they had built as a family after so much heartbreak? "Mommy!" Lily's sad little voice broke through her thoughts, and Emily rushed to her side, kneeling in the grass. Jack brushed off the leaves and dirt, and as he inspected Lily for injuries, Emily placed a soft hand on her daughter's cheek. "Are you hurt?" she asked, anxiety heavy in her voice. Lily shook her head, her big eyes wide with uncertainty. "I just got scared. A big kid pushed me." Let us get you up and cleaned off, Jack said, relief flooding his tone as he helped Lily to her feet. She was safe. For now, that was enough. But as they turned back to Sarah, the heaviness returned. Sarah's face was pale, eyes glistening like she was caught in the eye of a storm. Can you please tell us what you meant? Jack finally demanded, his voice sharper than he intended but filled with a protectiveness that Emily admired. They had been through so much together. He deserved answers, just as much as she did. It's about your wedding night. Sarah started again, hesitating before continuing. You and Jack, something happened, something you don't remember. Emily felt her pulse quicken. What are you saying? Sarah swallowed hard and dropped her gaze to the grass. A deal was made. It's why I left. I thought I was protecting you, both of you. Protecting us from what? Jack felt like he was on the verge of exploding. From the truth. Sarah looked up, the weight of years pressing down on her shoulders. Something about your wedding night. It involves your family, Jack. And it changes everything. Emily's breath hitched as another flare of fear rushed through her. It was one thing to face the uncertainty of her past, but now Sarah spoke of Jack's family. This twisted web of secrets felt more tangled by the second. And then there was Lily, safely anchored with Jack, yet completely oblivious to the storm brewing around them. The innocent laughter, the sticky fun of the cupcakes, it all seemed so far away now. Are you saying you had some sort of secret arrangement with my parents? Jack's tone turned hard, disbelief lacing his words. No, no. It's more complicated than that. Then explain it. We deserve that much. Jack interrupted, frustration leaking through his voice. Before Sarah could answer, Lily tugged at Emily's hand. Mommy, can we go home now? Emily glanced down, feeling that knot tighten again, but something different this time. Just a moment, sweetie, she said softly. Let us just talk in private, Emily suggested, a determination building in her chest. They needed to get to the bottom of this chaotic mess together. Please, Sarah nodded, her voice almost pleading. All right, Emily said, feeling the resolve solidify within her. Then let us go somewhere quiet. As they crossed the park, she couldn't help but wonder what other revelations awaited them and if the foundation of their family could withstand whatever truth lurked in the shadows. What had started as a simple picnic had spiraled into something unthinkable, and Emily felt that the next hidden layer of their story was waiting just beneath the surface, ready to explode. Just then, a distant sound echoed through the trees, unmistakable in its urgency. The sirens of an ambulance grew louder as they approached. What had happened? Who needed help? As Sarah's words loomed in their minds, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that they were being pulled into something far beyond their control. The sirens wailed closer, cutting through the stillness of the park. Emily's heart raced, her thoughts unraveling as she glanced at Jack and then at Sarah. What were they about to uncover? The urgency around them felt like an electric charge, intensifying the already heavy atmosphere. Stay close to me, Lily, Emily said, pulling her daughter closer, her voice firmer than she felt. Jack nodded, keeping his protective arm wrapped around Lily, who pressed her tiny frame against him. Did you hear that? Jack asked, his voice a blend of concern and frustration. It sounds serious. Yeah, Emily murmured, but her mind was spinning. The sirens weren't just in the backdrop anymore, they were a reminder that something was out of control. Just like this moment. I can't. Sarah's voice was a whisper, buried under the sound of approaching sirens. She looked as if she had just seen a ghost. I can't do this here. Not like this. Then where? Jack demanded, an urgency creeping into his words. He looked over his shoulder, the approaching ambulance seemed to mirror their spiraling situation. Follow me, Sarah said, her tone shifting with a newfound determination. She led them toward a section of the park bordered by tall trees, creating a secluded alcove. As they stepped away from the sounds of laughter and oblivion, Emily felt a mix of dread and resolve. "Now, tell us what you meant." Jack's voice was low but firm, slicing through the tension like a knife. Emily took a deep breath. The air felt thick with unspoken secrets. "Please, Sarah. We can't do this without answers." Sarah looked at both of them, the weight of the world pressing down on her. "It was all about your wedding night. There was a reason I left so suddenly. And it's not just about me, it's about your family, Jack." Emily's heart thudded heavily in her chest as she stepped closer, trying to catch the shift in Sarah's expression. "What do you mean? What about his family?" "I made a mistake, thinking I was protecting you from the truth." Sarah's eyes shimmered. "There was something agreed upon, something I can't fully explain without sounding completely insane, but I was scared. I ran. I thought it would keep you safe, but the reality is, it just buried this into darkness." Jack shook his head, disbelief etched across his face. "You think keeping secrets is protection? You don't understand what it can do to people." "I know." Sarah shouted, then took a breath, visibly trying to regain composure. "But it was all so much. Jack, I was caught up in family stuff that goes way back. You don't understand how deep this goes." As she spoke, the tension thickened. Emily found herself glancing back toward the park, the sounds of children filtering through the trees like a memory of innocence they were losing grip on. "What happens next?" Jack's voice was threadbare, revealing the cracks in his emotional armor. Lily tugged at her father's shirt, eyes wide and confused. "Things are going to change," Sarah whispered, her gaze shifting toward Lily, a mix of sadness and regret washing over her features. "Change how?" Emily wasn't sure she wanted to hear the answer but had no choice. The truth felt like a balloon that had been blown up too big, ready to burst. Before Sarah could respond, the wail of the ambulance siren suddenly cut off. In the silence that followed, a chilling realization settled over all three of them. It was as if the world had paused, waiting for the next devastating revelation to break. Emily felt her body tense, her heart racing as she leaned closer. "What do you mean, change?" Sarah took a shaky breath. "There's a reason you both should be never forgotten that night, one that could put all of you in danger." As Jack stared at her, Emily felt a wild surge of fear. What had they gotten themselves into? Everything felt precarious, dangling on the edge of something she couldn't even see yet. And then, just as they were about to take another step toward clarity, a figure emerged from behind the trees, moving swiftly toward them. Emily's breath caught in her throat. Who was this person, and how did they factor into the secrets that were unfolding? Was the truth about to be revealed, or would they just dive further into chaos? The figure stepped into view, a blur of motion that quickly solidified into a man with sharp features and an intense gaze. His disheveled hair framed a face that was both familiar and foreign, resonating with the different threads of their lives. Emily's heart pounded. She had seen him before, someone from their past, someone tied to Jack, tethered to Sarah. "Ethan?" Jack's voice broke through the tension, dragging clarity into the chaos. "What are you doing here?" Ethan approached, his eyes darting from Jack to Sarah, and finally settling on Emily and Lily, his expression unreadable. "I came to find you. We don't have much time." "Time for what?" Emily stepped forward, her motherly instincts flaring. "What is going on? There are things you need to know, things about your families that can't stay buried any longer." Ethan paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. "It's about the deal, the agreement that Sarah was too scared to tell you about." Jack's brow furrowed. "What deal? What could possibly be so important that it involves all of us?" "Look," Ethan said, taking a deep breath as if weighing what came next. "There was a pact made long ago, one that ties your families. It's why Sarah left. It's why I'm here now. The consequences are surfacing, and I couldn't just stand by any longer. Emily felt a chill creep down her spine as the pieces of the puzzle began to twist into frightful shapes. A pact? Agreement? Her heart raced, not from fear, but from the dread of memories she had hoped to leave behind. Ethan glanced at Lily, and for a moment, his stern demeanor softened. I wish I didn't have to involve her in all this. But we're all in danger, especially her. What do you mean danger? Emily's voice trembled, caught somewhere between panic and the desperate need for validation. Someone's been watching you, watching your family, Ethan replied, his voice low but steady. They want the truth to stay hidden. And the moment they think it's threatened, they'll do anything to protect their interests. Jack stepped forward, adrenaline coursing through him. Who's after us? Ethan hesitated, his eyes glistening with the weight of dark revelations. A name you won't recognize, but a figure connected to both our parents, a powerful player in this game. The wedding night, it was a catalyst, and it is all linked. You should never forgotten it, and now we have to face it. Sarah shook her head in disbelief, tears welling in her eyes. I thought I did the right thing by leaving it all behind. How could I have known? Sometimes, Ethan interrupted, his voice urgent, doing the right thing means facing it head on. Some truths don't fade. They fester. We need to find out what happened that night if we're going to protect ourselves and Lily. Emily exchanged glances with Jack, each of them holding a storm of emotions: fear, confusion, but most importantly, a fierce resolve. Tell us everything. Jack's voice firmed with determination. We can't afford to gloss over anything anymore. Just then, the distant wail of sirens returned, interrupting their urgent conversation. The world didn't ease for them, and it felt like time had begun to close in. The urgency was back, the danger was approaching. Follow me, Ethan said, motioning for them to move deeper into the alcove, where shadows loomed like the secrets they were about to unravel. We need to stay hidden while I explain. As they followed him, Emily felt the weight of the unknown pressing down harder than ever. What if the truth they were about to uncover shattered everything? Would it tear them apart, or bring them together? And in that moment, as they pressed onward into the darkness, the question lingered: what precisely would they find when the time came to confront the past? Emily felt a knot in her stomach as they stepped deeper into the alcove, a place that once felt like a sanctuary now transformed into the crucible for truths that could reshape everything. Jack walked closely beside her, the protective instinct hardening his features into a mask of resolve. Lily clung to his side, her innocent presence a stark reminder of what was at stake. What's the deal? Jack asked, his voice low yet charged with urgency. Ethan turned, glancing around, ensuring they weren't overheard, then he exhaled, steadying himself. It's complicated, he said, but you both deserve to know. Long before any of us were born, our families made a pact, an agreement to keep certain truths hidden in exchange for power, wealth, and influence. Your wedding night, it was not just a celebration, it was the beginning of a sequence of events that could unravel everything if left unchecked. Emily's heart raced louder than before. She felt the walls of their serene family life quaking at the core. What does it have to do with Jack's family or mine? Your families share a background tied to the industry that has thrived on exploitation, Ethan replied, his tone grave. That night, something significant was agreed upon, something that created enemies out of friends. And it's put you in their crosshairs. What could be so incriminating? Jack's voice trembled slightly, betraying the fear that lurked beneath his determined facade. If it was so important, why didn't our parents tell us? Why is Sarah wrapped up in this? Because the moment you uncover the truth, they lose control. It's easier to keep people in the dark than face the fallout of harsh realities. They thought Sarah would run, and she did, thinking it would protect you. But now? He paused, the weight of his words settling like lead. Now they see you both as a threat. A spark ignited inside Emily, fear igniting into fierce resolve. And what happens when they realize we're onto them? She said, her voice steadying despite the quaking inside her. What will they do to us? Ethan's jaw tightened. That's why it's crucial to piece together your wedding night. There are specific details that could expose the truth, the details your parents wanted to keep buried. If we can find out what they were hiding or what was done, we may have a chance. Just then, a loud roar of laughter erupted from the park behind them, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing in this secluded space. Emily leaned farther into Jack and clutched Lily's hand tightly. Lily needs to be safe, Jack whispered, instinct crawling into his voice. What do we do? First, we gather intel. You both have to be aware of where you stand, Ethan replied. But that won't mean much if you're exposed, if they find out you know anything. We have to stay vigilant. I'll do whatever it takes, Emily stated, her heart aflame with protective energy. For Lily. For us. Ethan nodded, but before he could respond, a figure slipped into view from the side. The post-wedding party members shrieked with delight, shattering the fragile tension among them. The three of them froze, eyes darting to the comers of the park, the fears unveiling like flowers in the spring sun. It occurred to Emily in that moment how fragile this life was, how quickly it could turn into shambles under the weight of unforeseen realities. Everything will collapse if we don't act soon, Ethan said urgently, breaking her reverie. Tonight is our only chance to access the information we need. It's our tipping point. Jack moved closer to Emily, his brow furrowing. We can't risk Lily getting caught up in this. She doesn't deserve to be drawn into a fight over secrets. Lily, Emily kneeled to meet her daughter's gaze. I need you to stay close, okay? But I want you to promise you'll stay out of it. You can go to Sarah. Can you do that for me? Lily nodded, though Emily could see a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. Good, Jack said, gratitude flickering in his expression. We can handle this. Together. Now, let us go take a look, Ethan urged, beginning to lead them away from the gathering. Storm of laughter. They headed back into the city of Maplewood, the streets lined with his layers of history, where secrets danced in the moonlight, begging to be revealed. As they entered the main street, the atmosphere became electric. Emily could feel it in her bones, a sense of unraveling truth that crept upon her like a shadow. People passed, blissful in their ignorance, yet she felt the pulse of an underlying current, the danger, the need for bravery. Let us find out what our families are hiding, Emily murmured, determination flooding every word. Let us bring this out into the light. As they ventured deeper into the night, the weight of history pressed hard against their backs. With every step they took, more became clear, this wasn't merely about them. It was about their community, their roots, and healing the fissures that had long been covered by the silence of fear. And as they began to uncover the threads of destiny intertwined with betrayal, Emily felt a wave of hope swell within her, a hope to reclaim the narrative, to transform an inherited legacy into something brighter for Lily, for everyone. They had a fight ahead of them, yes. But together, they would brave it. As the dark sidewalks of Maplewood stretched ahead of them, one thing became unequivocally clear: they were united in this struggle, and in that unity lay their strength. Now it was time to act, it was time to unveil the truth, to embrace the season of transformation. This was just the beginning. And for Emily, the world felt unshackled, resonating with a resilient heartbeat as they prepared to dive into the depths of revelations that awaited. They would shine light into the shadows. They would protect their family and transform pain into purpose. This was more than a fight for survival, it was a fight for everything they loved, and they would not back down. If you're feeling inspired by this transformation, subscribe immediately to our channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that will light your path. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support the community we're building together. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending, let us make our voices heard. And please, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. This is the moment to show your support. Join our journey, together, we can shine brighter.